What's going on, guys? BladeZilla here, and today I have probably the nicest CKF knife I've ever had come through the site. This is the Custom Knife Factory Snafu 4.0 medium full dress in zircotite, superconductor, and damasteel. Okay, there's going to be a lot of close-ups, a lot of fun times. But more than anything, just an amazing knife to talk about today on the channel. So I'm pretty stoked. I've got a real special one to take a look at. It's rare, as I've mentioned, to have something like this come through. They're hard enough to get, let alone, do a video on. So had to literally take this one. Just took some photos and put it up on the site. And I'm not sure how long this will be in the store or how long. If it'll even be in the store when this video comes up, but I figure just for the sake of everybody, even if it's a 10, 15, 20 minute video, we need to take a look at this gorgeous knife. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of coffee, whatever you're into, Coke, wine, beer, depending on the time of the day, obviously. As a reminder, check out BladeZilla.ca, where this knife currently is at the top of the page, because I literally put it there seconds ago. Right there. So beautiful knife. So it's Custom Knife Factory Snafu 4.0 medium full dress with zircotite integral handle with superconductor inlays and damasteel. Pretty close to what I said, but lots of good stuff still trickling in from Blade Show. The Malibus, the fifth 18s, nice new batch of BMKTs. The Anzo Aros, super sick knife. Restock on some Koenigs, some F95s from Shiro. It just keeps rolling. There's so much around Blade Show in terms of good quality knives kind of trickling in super rare quantities. So it's a fun time of the year to have some cool content to do and some cool knives to review and take a look at and talk about more than anything. So where do I start? Well, geez, oh geez, let's get some measurements. They are calling this a medium, and in the past they've kind of changed up what that means, but it's a big knife. So, you're over 8 inches, 8 1/8 roughly, with a blade grind of 3 1/4 sharp. I'd say 3 1/2 to the center of the choil on this integral. So big knife. Handle 4 5/8, and then I will get that measurement closed as people ask for that. Just because when you close a knife, sometimes that blade sticks back out the other way, and I don't take that into account. I just usually measure the handle, so should be the same in this case. There you go, under 5, 4 3/4-ish, 4 5/8, somewhere in that conversation. In terms of weight, I would love to guess the weight on this knife. I did a video on a zircotite DLC Snafu, and spoiler alert, I loved it. This one, just the fact that it's full zircotite, it's a heavy knife. In hand, it's one of the heavier CKFs I've had, so I'm guessing 6 ounces. 4.9. It's funny, when I was guessing there, I was so close to saying 5. I was like, but I better just go up a little more. So 4.9 ounces, basically close to 5 ounces, which is close enough to 6. So there you go. Don't want to throw myself under the bus, but 5 ounce knife for an integral titanium knife, zircotite. Where do we even start this video off? It's already been multiple minutes, and I don't even know where to go with it. Can we just collectively take a sigh of relief, take it all in, and just go, wow. The materials alone on this are exceptional. The execution on a CKF knife, it's some of the best. Peter Rosenti's designs of the Snafu itself are some of the best and some of the most sought after collaboration pieces that are made. And then they go out and make a full dressed version in super limited numbers. They brought these to Blade Show 2025 in Atlanta. I think we're talking single digit serial numbers. This one I thought was lucky number 13. So, in my head I was thinking sub 20 available. I don't know the exact number, but they've got to be sub 20. It's a heavy knife. Damasteel looks fantastic. It's a great choice for this knife, being that it's full dressed. And this particular piece of Damasteel is just gorgeous on both sides. Very balanced, matching well. We've got both the Zircotai handles as well as Zircotai pivot collars, which was found on that last piece that I had. And it blends almost incognito, those pivot collars on this. We have the CKF logo above it, which looks great. And then superconductor inlays on both sides, I believe. Yeah, both sides. Looks great. And it's the camera's kind of muting them as well. I'd say they really pop. The gold, the copper, they really pop in reality. And the closer you get to these, the more beautiful they look in hand. Oh, I'm wondering if it's numbered under the back spacer or if it's just on the blade. We'll get to that. But underneath this, obviously, you can see all that gorgeous layering on that integral handle. Integral meaning that it is one piece of milled Zircotai, so very expensive knife handle, which is why they're only doing so many of them. Obviously, they're not going to get much internal milling on this because how? How do you get in there? With a few exceptions I've seen. We've got the fairly rough, I'd say. It feels very much like the Customs on the Snafu from Peter Rosenti. Very rough on that, looks good. And then we have the lanyard hole. So if you want to throw a nice $1,000 bead on the back of this, I'm sure you can find it, and it would look great. I find the more full dressed the knife is, the more it suits a nice Zircotai bead. Obviously you've got the thumb studs, non-Zircotai thumb studs, which I felt was a bit of a miss, but still looks great. I just would love to see a little fancier thumb stud to kind of just complement the complete over chaos that this knife is. But given that it's black, the pivot's black, you know what, fine. Being full dress with the black hardware, with the black thumb stud, fine, not a big deal. Works for me. Let's take a look where this one's actually numbered, because I don't know, but typically they put it on the blade there. Is that it down there? I see Damasteel right here. And number 13, right on the very tip. That's what she said. Yeah, so it is on there, but it's kind of hidden a little bit, which is kind of cool as well. Let's do some comparisons. We've done the measurements, but I know people always ask for size comparisons. And like I said, I've already done a video on this knife talking about it in hand, fit, finish. I'm telling you, it's a home run. It's a great knife. I'm actually hoping to get some lower versions of the knife, you know, the $600, $700, $800 US table kind of variants at some point here, just the satin, you know, hand rub, whatever models. I think, you know, that's kind of the people's knife. And for me, you know, I'm a collector as well. For some reason, I'm always drawn to plain Janes, either plain Janes with a little pizzazz or this ridiculous over the top full dress. So let's do some comparisons here. We'll start with, well, let's go a weird order. Let's go Astrum today from Shirogorov. And remember, they are claiming this is a medium-sized knife. We'll do an F95. This particular one is a custom division from, 2017-ish, when they were individually numbered. Let's do the Shirogorov strip. This is a fat strip. Also, very cool knife. Just a weird knife in that it's a shorter profile, but a really fat knife, which is just rare. The Bio, Sinkovich Bio. This is a Bio Dark, which is, they do Bio Light as well. They had both for a little while, and the Bio Dark is the one that stuck. There's no difference between the two. It's just light and dark. The Shiro Stellar, which is size-wise very similar to this, although the quote medium Snafu I'd say is a little hair bigger. We'll do the Hattie, which is called Half Tie. This one's a CCKS 2021 knife with a copper back spacer. Really cool knife. Just somehow this one stuck around. Got it off one of the Facebook groups years ago, and I don't know, it's always nice to have a Hattie floating around, and the fact that it's got a copper back spacer is just kind of cool. And then I guess we can do, let's do the Integral Shiro. The Russian Flipper Laksa, or Russian Laksa, which for a lot of intensive purposes here, I'd say, you know, they really elevated a production Scott Cook knife, which is already a cream of the crop integral. It's kind of the gold standard integral knife out there for a lot of people. If you're getting into knives, it's one of those knives that are a must own. You know, I'd say a Sebenza, a large Sebenza drop point, and at some point a Scott Cook Laksa is on the menu for a lot of people. They're very expensive, but very well done. Shirogorov did a integral last fall, I believe, or late last summer. This is their first swing at an integral in a production capacity. Mind you, it's still a collaboration piece, so highly, highly limited. When they hit the market, they were in the $5,000 US territory, and they've kind of held there. Actually, maybe $5,500 now, kind of range US. So, and at table, I think they're a $2,500 table. So they've done really, really well. But a lot of the coolness that this knife has on it, in terms of functionality, in terms of basically, you know, internal milling on an integral, it's kind of rare, right? So, you know, they got the serial number on the inside of this one, which to have anything on the inside of an integral is just hard. If I can get this to focus. Speaking of, come on, man, throw me a bone. So it's rare to have anything that's on the inside of an integral, which is kind of what I was getting at to start off. So it's kind of cool to have that on a Shiro. And then an an internally attached clip, and their workaround on that's actually through the lanyard hole. So pretty cool piece of technology from Shiro. And I've done a whole video on that knife last summer, which spoiler alert, well, I still have one. So I really loved that knife. And then I'll grab my Quantum as well. There's a Quantum Monkey Edge frag pattern for size as well, which is just a F95, but just a different kind of design, but similarly sized as an F95. Flipper tab on the front kind of comes off the frame versus sitting up on it. So when I say that, it's kind of in line with the frame. Hopefully you can see that if it wants to focus right there. So great knife. But those are the size comparisons from Shiro that I like to use. I'll grab the Zahn, if I can find it here. There we go. As well, for those who want to see a Chris Reeve in the mix. I tend to show the large Sebenza, but I should probably show the Zahn a little more often. So there you go. There we go. So where to go from here? It's a great knife. You know, Damasteel, name brand, Damascus, is kind of the best of the best. You know, you've got the superconductor inlays, which look fantastic against the Zircotai frame. It's rare enough to have Zircotai on any part of a knife, let alone an entire hunk of it milled into a Peter Rosenti. You know, every one of these knives, I wish I knew the number they made, but every one of them will be different just based on the patterning of that Zircotai, right? So you see all the swirls and all of that work that's gone into making this all fancy and special. Those will all be different. Also note the externally attached clip, which is part of the original design, once again alluding to during the Shirogorov video, how that one is attached internally in an integral, which is just very, very uncommon. We have a lock bar insert here / over travel stop, which looks great. Black like the hardware. Let's take a look at it from the inside. Looks well done. Now a lot of integrals, they do some work around the pivot to kind of integrate it into the frame and to somehow put bearings in and all this stuff. Peter Rossetti is a little more classic, just hardware on the outside, squish some bearings in on the inside, and off you go. They're all going to be dead center because, well, they can't really be anything but center unless that blade is substantially over tightened or substantially under tightened. It tends to just sit right in the middle. And the main thing here that I always like to point out on the integral is just, oh, the layering on that Zerk is just gorgeous on a handle. It's just unique and gives you a whole new experience with a knife like this. At this caliber, it should be giving you that experience where you sit around, you look at it, play with it, and it just changes over time for you. This particular one, very purple. Lots of deep navy blues and purple, royal blue I'd say, and a lot of purple, so just a nice match all the way around. You know, when I saw the list that said they were doing some with superconductor, I wasn't too sure how the color would work with Zerk, but let's be honest, it works very well. Oh, it just pops off this knife too, in a way you don't see every day. In terms of fit in hand, I will get into it. So it's a heavy knife, 5 ounces. It feels heavy, it feels dense, it feels well made. I'm an extra large glove hand and I've still got lots of room with some superconductor and handle floating out. This one, the inlays feel thicker than the other knife. It really fills my hand nicely. That jimping on the damasteel just grabs your thumb. It's real sharp. Sharper than the production variant, I would say, or I shouldn't say production, than the last variant that I had, which was a production model, but it's sharp. I don't even want to look at the balance. Oh, it is balanced too, wow. So they've taken some material out of that blade. Nicely done. You know, you're putting a lot of heavier materials. The blade's heavier, the handle's heavier, and yet perfectly balanced. I don't know how they do it. Usually when the full dresses come out, they kind of are the exception to a lot of the rules the companies will follow. Because, you know, they don't have to balance, but somehow it does. So what could really be changed about this design? Honestly, I wish I could be critical. I can't. I wouldn't do anything different. You know, other than, you know, if you could dress up the hardware, dress up that a little bit, I think it would just add to the allure of the knife and add to the ridiculous nature of it. Given the price point, you know, it's 3 times the price of a production knife for the same Snafu. I shouldn't say the same Snafu, the same design from CKF, it's triple the price. So it'd be great to, you know, have a little more dressy hardware, but you know what, beggars can't be choosers because they've already, you know, the frame, it's an integral, guys. I don't know how many times I need to tell this. That is such an expensive handle to do, and an expensive handle that if you have errors in manufacturing, oh boy are they costly. Which, my understanding, when you're making an integral, there's a lot of errors typically. You gotta have that process dialed right in. Otherwise, you end up throwing out a lot of expensive materials. It's just an iconic knife. Love that. You can kind of get in the choil as well. I was kind of showing that you can. It's not sharp underneath. So it just makes for a great knife. Just fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to grab one of these when they come out with the, you know, standard variants. I'll throw one in the case and start using it as a comparison because it's just a great size. All the beveling around the edges in hand. Hopefully you can see some of that. It doesn't feel as sharp as an authentic Rossetti in hand. I felt like the 90-degree corners on a lot of those knives are just, they feel like custom knives, whereas this feels like a CKF, just well done, well executed. And for some reason, I'm looking inside this frame, it looks different. Do you guys see that too? So we've got more of that purple royal blue color on the outside, but on the inside, you get a little more gold that pops inside the frame. I don't know if that's by design or just coincidence, but it looks great. Absolutely great. Stunning. Well, this has to be the coolest and probably highest end custom Knife Factory knife I think I've ever seen in person. I had a one-off come through a couple months ago. I think I did a video on it of, trying to remember which one that was. Was it a Barm? A Barmenglot? I think it was. I had a one-off with like puzzle pieces and all kind of stuff come through, and that was next level compared to the production knives, and this is no different than that. In terms of the detail, the fit and finish, the materials, the design obviously is right there. CKF has just been banging out absolute stunners lately. And what I love too, and it's something that Shiro doesn't really do, and you guys know I love my Shiro Goroffs, love that brand. It's, I love how they do some show specials that are super rare, ultra limited, that are just, you know, hey, we did 5 of these, and they're all Zircotai. You know, could you imagine if Shiro did like a Zircotai CDX or a Zircotai Laksa? Like if they launched that, like people would go not like, that's their full custom knife, right? Like that's that territory, and that territory for that brand is $20,000+. You know, Blade Show, they had a neon there that went for 35 grand. That's a neon. And that was a titanium Damascus handle, really cool knife. You know, $35,000. Next level money, next level. And this knife is next level, I'm telling you. It'll get there. It'll get there one day. They're too darn good. And the camera, as I can tell, it's like freaking out because of the brightness. Anytime my camera makes these knives look darker than they are, I immediately know they're just, everything's popping brightness scales on it. And it has to adjust everything. So I love it. Absolutely love when the sensor's right, like right now, you can see it's kind of making it dark. You have to angle the knife to kind of set it back to reality a little bit. So cool. Okay, well, at least I got to take a look at it. I don't know how long it was, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is. I just wanted to, more than anything, have a look back on this, film something, and be able to look back at this knife down the line. I only have the one, and that was pulling teeth to get one. So I'm assuming, you know, if the video is up, I'm assuming the knife could still be floating around. I'll get this video up as soon as I possibly can. But I only have the one. They're all unique, they're numbered, they're all different, and they're all beautiful. So I feel very honored to take a look at this knife and have it come through. That is the CKF full dress, not a little dress, not a little summer dress, full dress, Zircotai, superconductor, Damasteel. Very limited, very rare knife. So cool. As a reminder, guys, check out BladeZilla.ca where you can find this stuff. YouTube, throw a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe every Monday, Thursday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, find me there. Send me a note. Let's chat knives. Love knives. That's my whole passion. So otherwise, thanks for stopping by and checking out this gorgeous knife. And leave a comment and all that stuff. It's so much fun to see this cool stuff. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Peace.